we are dealing the line of balancing. Line of balancing plant location. So the line of balancing, it is an analysis process which tries to equally divide the work carried out in production process among the workstations. In the production line, workstations and work centers, which are arranged in a sequence of tasks, which is to be done along with a curved straight line. You can say simply, a line balancing is a process of organizing the production line in such a way that the production activities will be flow from one workstation to another workstation without causing any delay at any of workstations. So it may be also defined as an allocation of sequential work activities into workstations, which helps the firm in a optimum utilization of labor and equipment, thereby minimizing the ideal time. So for reducing the time or for reducing the wastage of time, we are using the line of balancing. The main objectives and goals of line of balancing is the number of workstations to be needed and the type of task should be assigned to each workstation, and to know the minimum number of workers and the tools and the machines that can be used to provide the required amount of capacity. And the objective is assigning the task to each workstation in such a way that there is only one a little ideal time is to be considered. Then terminologies using in the line of balancing, we can say simply production line analysis. One is tasks and task precedence and task times, cycle time and productive time per hour, workstation, work center, the number of workstations working and minimum number of workstations, actual number of workstations and utilization. These are the main terminology we need to know for a line of balancing. Task means all the elements of work. That means what are the operations to be performing on the product. The task preceding, the sequence in which the tasks are performed. The task preceding means what is the sequence to be allotted to the each task, and task times, that is time required by a well-trained worker or unattended machine to perform the task. This is usually experiencing in a minute. And cycle time, the time expressed in minutes between two simultaneous products coming off the end of the production line. And productive time per hour, the average number of minutes that is for a workstation is working in an hour. And workstation, it is the main topic of the plant location is workstation, a physical area where the worker with the tools, either maybe one or more machineries or unattended machines like a robot, will perform the particular set of tasks in a production line called a workstation. And the work center, a small group of identical workstations, thereby each workstation perform the same set of tasks. And number of workstations is of working is the amount of work done at a work center expressed in the number of workstations. And minimum number of workstations, the least number of workstations that provides the required production within the stipulated time. And actual number of workstations means this is the total number of workstations required on the entire production line. It is to be calculated as the next higher integer of the number of workstations working. And utilization, the percentage of time production line is working, that is working. Then line balancing procedure. The line balancing procedure is of having the 8 steps, which is usually the line balancing is initiated with the determination of a cycle time. So the production cost or the performed to complete 1 unit of product is to be performed with the easy of time and calculation of cycle time and determination of minimum number of workstations to be required, and using one of the heuristic to assign task to workstation for balancing of the production line. So in the balancing procedure, step 1 means the line balancing is initiated with the determination of cycle time and the theoretical minimum of workstations. So firstly we have to calculate the cycle time and the minimum workstations to be required. Then in the second step, after calculating the cycle time and the number of workstations, the actual number of workstations to be required can be calculated by round off into the higher value of the workstation. And the step 3, as soon as the minimum number of workstations are completed, next step is to go for assigning the task to the different workstations starting from left to right. And the preceding tasks need to be already allotted in the sequence, and the time of task should not be exceed the time which is left at the different workstations. After assigning all the works to the respective workstations, the remaining time of individual workstations can be obtained. The task having the largest task time should be assigned first, and the task having the greatest number of floors should be assigned, and the task must be assigned continuously to all workstations until all workstations are occupied by at least a single job or a single task. Finally, the percentage of ideal time and the effectively using of line of balancing is computed. And we are having the techniques for line of balancing. The techniques are linear programming, heuristic method, dynamic programming, and computerized line balancing. In the heuristic method, the searching to determine by an approach to solve the problem. These methods are mostly applied when optimizing solutions are infeasible and highly expensive in nature. The heuristic method is suitable for intermittent flow production system. Linear programming. It is another conventional method. It is used for line programming, and by network diagram we can take out the optimal result of or optimal function and constraints and the elements and cycle time constraints. Okay, based on these assumptions we can calculate the optimum function, that means maximizing the profit or minimizing the cost. Then dynamic programming, as you know, by varying of production time and cycle time we can use it in the dynamic programming. And computerized line balancing, due to increased complexity of line balancing problem, the heuristic method and other conventional methods have become incompatible with the existing solution. So some of the software packages can be used to solve the method of line of balancing. Some of the softwares or software packages are available called computer method sequencing operation for assembly line. That means IBMS console. That means computer method for sequencing operations for assembly line. So these methods will be available in the computer program. But what are the basic concepts which are available in the computerized methods of line design means the need. Why we need go for computer programs? Generally, the plant layout problems are conjunctional problems which takes more time for evaluating the best design layout by using many interchangeable departments with different locations. In order to reduce the time consumption, computer programs are used. Thus, the need of software programs in plant layout is very advantageous. Then, input requirements of actually the classification of the computerized layouts of designs go for two things. The layout programs can be classified to two types. One is construction of algorithms and improvement of algorithms. The construction of algorithms means the computer programs helps in constructing the algorithms. A constructional algorithm includes the proper selection placement of activities, thus in helping the obtaining a successive design layout. Then the construction means we are framing the algorithms with the helping of successive designs and the selective activities. The improvement of algorithm. Second model is improvement of algorithm. The computer program provides an idea about improvement in the quality of the layout program in order to improve the quality of the design layout also. Basically, these constructive and improvement type layouts or algorithms will be of planning for 5 models of computer programs in order to improve the quality of the design layout. What are the 5 means? Craft, ALDEP and CoreLap and CoFAD and Planet. These are the major 5 varieties of the computerized programs that are available in a plant location. And then the key elements of computerized layout planning is the representation and the manipulation of the following 3 types of information. Why we go for the computerized programming? One is numerical information and logical information and graphical information. We need to change or represent these type of information. We are going for computerized layout. So numerical information means space required for an activity and total flow between two activities. And logical means preferences of the designer, that means activity relationship chart, and graphical information drawing of a block plan. And the constructive algorithms are of following types. Actually, the thing is categorized to two things: constructive and improvement. And under constructive, we are having two methods, that is ALDEP, and one more thing is CoreLap. ALDEP means ALDEP, it is Automated Layout Design Program, and CoreLap, Computerized Relationship Planning. The most famous type in improvement pro. So what are the improvement? Under improvement, we are having a major thing called CRAFT, Computerized Relative Allocation and Facility Technique. This is the major famous technique using in the improvement type programming or algorithm. So now we are discussing the CRAFT. The CRAFT requires is the most popular than other computer-based layout procedures, and it is improvement algorithm and starts with an initial layout and provides to improve the layout by interchanging the departments pairwise to reduce the total material transportation cost. And it doesn't gives the optimal layout, but it results to the good and near optimal, which can be later corrected to suit the need of the layout planner. And features of CRAFT. It attempts to minimize the transportation cost, where the transportation cost is equals to flow into distance into unit cost. It requires the assumption that the move costs are independent of equipment utilization, and the move costs are linearly related to the length of the move. And distance matrix used is the rectilinear distance between departmental centroids, and a craft being a path-oriented method. The final layout is depending on the initial layouts. Therefore, a number of initial layouts should be used as into the craft. The craft allows the use of dummy departments to represent fixed areas in the layout. And minimum requirements, input requirements of a craft. A craft having input requirements or initial layout. The craft requires an initial layout configuration which displays the size of departments arranged. An initial layout of craft may be an arbitrary type or existing type. Next, it requires flow data. The flow data, which shows the number of unit loads moving between all departments over a given period of time. It doesn't necessary to have flow matrix in a symmetrical form. Third, an unsymmetrical cost matrix gives the cost per unit distance of movement between all the departments. The craft requires the space or area of each department for the purpose of determining the design layout. And the craft also requires the availability of fixed departments with linear locations. Next, procedure adopted for layout or craft. Firstly, determine the department centroids. Calculate the rectilinear distance between the centroids and calculate the transportation cost for the layout. And consider departmental exchanges of either equal area departments or departments sharing common border. Determine the transportation cost of each department interchange. And selecting and implementing the departmental interchange that offers the greatest reduction in transportation cost. Repeat the procedure for the new layout until no interchange is able to reduce the transportation cost. And the major disadvantages of using craft. It requires manual adjustments and design. It doesn't provide the assurance of having lowest possible cost layout. And distance between the department is represented as a straight line, whereas movement is represented by a rectangle along orthogonal axis. The program is strictly applied only to modify the already existing layout or to plan the new layout. It is difficult to move the program produced by a heuristic method and suboptimal procedure. The craft program mainly depends on the path. It requires better adoption for result elements, and it considers the unpleasant relationships, and the craft is restricted to a 40 departments only. So this is the major disadvantage. This is the total flow chart of the craft programming. After starting the program, we have to read the input as inter-department movement matrix and movement cost matrix, initial layout, restriction. So these are the main thing you need to read it as input, and compute departmental centroids and form distance matrix. Okay, what we discussed in the previously, these are all making into the flowchart that will result as follows. So compute total movement cost for layout and output of the initial layout and the cost. So if the cost, the output of initial layout, by considering the output of new layout or total cost or cost reduction exchanges that made and iteration number. Based on this, the output will be results, and determine all possible departmental exchanges and select exchange with the greatest tool cost, and that can total movement cost can be reduced. If yes, make the departmental. If not, means go for departmental change and recalculated the affected matrix and again calculated the possible departmental exchange to the greatest level of total cost. And finally, if not provide means we go for the stop. and ALDEP, an automated layout design program. It belongs to the construction type program. An automated layout design program is a constructive type program. Which builds the layout without using the existing layout, which usually ALDEP is applied when the following parameters are to be considered. One is activity relationship between the departments and uniform varying condition, which restricts the collection or precise numerical data. And what are the inputs or input requirements of ALDEP? The number of departments or activities employed in the layout and the length, width are required of each area in a floor, and total values of closeness for pairs of departments based on relationship chart, and minimum departmental performances and sweep width, the least possible score for an acceptable layout, and total number of layout are to be generated, building outline and the scale of layout which is to be printed out. It requires the location and the size of each prohibited area also. So, and the steps involved, that means procedure is step 1, the number of departments in the layout and area of each activity or department, and the length and width of the layout and the relationship chart, and a minimum depth reference, that means MDP, minimum departmental references. And sweep width, number of iterations to be carried out, that is N, current iteration number I, and location and size of the fixed department, and score of current layout. These are the main steps you need to follow or note it down in the step 1. And step 2, choose the department randomly and place it in the layout. In this chart, and divide the non-selected department into two categories. One is X and Y. In the X category, the value of department related to the previously selected department, which is less than the MDP value, minimal departmental value, preference value. And Y category, the value of department related to the previously selected department is more than the MDP value. So we are categorizing in the chart as X and Y. One is less than the MDP value and more than the MDP value. Step 4. Check for the availability of non-selected departments in Y category. It is empty, then selected department X, and check for the placement of all the departments in the layout. If any department is found to be unplaced, then follow step 3. And step 6, check whether the computed score of the layout is higher than the current best layout. If yes, call the new layout. If no, cancel the new layout and check for the current iteration number, that is I. If yes, print out the current best layout. If no, increase the iteration number and follow the step 2, which is to be continued. Then advantages and disadvantages of ALDEP. The solution obtained from ALDEP is available within the definite area. It can affix the particular locations which are available under certain limits, and the possibility of developing the several replacements in order to obtain the optimum relation solution of the layout. And disadvantages is it doesn't calculate the movement cost, and honors cannot be given to unpleasant relationships, and the method of determining the score is suspicious or cannot be defined. The process of evaluating the production is complicated, and it doesn't consider the manufacturing space consolidation and restricted only to 63 departments. So with that we can get it the RD. And coming to next one, programming method, CoreLap. This is the constructive type program. Simply CoreLap means computerized relationship layout planning. It is a constructive type programming which requires the relationship chart for the construction of layout. This layout can be generated by locating the rectangular shaped departments if the departmental area and the layout scale allows their relationship representation in a rectangular form. The relationship chart is also used to obtain the placement of departments within the layout. It has the capacity to manage up to 70 numbers and departments and the dimensions of the scale. What is the procedure? It is to choose the place initially the most important at the centroid of the layout. This selected department is now to be placed next to the earlier placed departments. It creates the layout from center, and there will be no rectangular shaped departments in the final layout. The closeness values and direct distances between all the pairs of departments and develop the total score of the layout. The steps involved in CoreLap algorithm. It provides the basic input data and the computation of placement order and the placing of the departments in the layout and determination of total score of the layout. Merits and demerits. The merits is it, in comparison to craft, CoreLab organizes the layout from started and preferred relationship, and it considers all the conditions that are necessary for a desirable relationship between the departments. It doesn't require any initial layout. The higher ratio of length to width in a layout will help in degenerating the layout and configures the which are not realistic in the nature. The input and output of programs are similar. But the demerits, CoreLab cannot specify the locations of the fixed department. It doesn't perform the calculations of fixed department locations. And input requirements of CoreLab. The total number of departments with their areas and closeness relationship based on the relationship charts, and weighted ratings need for rel chart entries. Rel means relationship chart, and optimal input information is output scale and the ratio of building length of building width and departmental pre-assignment. These are different tools in engineering layout. One is the process chart. It means it is a classification and a graphical representation of production activities in a plant. The study of these charts can reveal the operation that can be eliminated, rearranged, or simplified to achieve economy in production. These are divided into two categories. One is sorry, operations process charts and flow process charts. These operations flow process chart, it is a whole manufacturing processes into operations and inspections. The chart represents the basic activities required to manufacturing a product. The flow process charts is a graphical representation of all production activities occurring on the floor of a plant. Then second method is process flow diagrams. Up to now we discussed process flow charts or process charts. Now it is process flow diagrams. It is both a supplement and a substitute of flow charts. It is an aid to visualize the movement of material on an existing floor layout. The material movement helps in relocating plant activities to reduce the travel distance. And machine data cards. This is the effective method to provide necessary information for placement or layout of the equipment. These cards are prepared for each machine, showing its capacity, space, and power requirement handling. Fourth one, the visualization of layout. It is the most common method of planning a layout by making replicas of machines, racks, benches, and the equipment, and then arranging these two or three dimensional plans on the floor spaces as follows. That is, one is two-dimensional plant or templates, second one is three-dimensional plant or scale method. In practical, template are used to develop a layout. Then colors may be used to show areas of production machines, benches, racks, and other equipment for material handling and storage space. The three-dimensional plant to better understanding about the depth, height, etc. of machines. The three-dimensional models are expensive but provides the clarity. And symptoms of poor layout. Finally, we know the plant location and types of plant locations and types of plant layouts and requirements of plant layout, requirements of plant location, and what is the layout methods: heuristic method, linear programming method, dynamic programming method, and computerized programming method. And according to computerized method, we are having 5 programs. That is for the easy of modifying or editing and making the relationship between machines and distance between the machines. Based on that, we have computed two computerized technique: improvement and second one is constructive. Thereby, these two are the techniques of computer programming thereof by Craft, ALDEP, CORELAP. These are the main 3 methods of computer programming for constructing any plant location in the plant layout. Then finally, what is the symptoms of poor layout? Finally, we achieved the plant layout. But what is for poor layout means the excessive amount of work is in progress and poor utilization of available space, and long material flow lines and delay in the delivery, long production cycles, difficult to supervise and control the properly. So with these, why we are considering as poor layout means, with all these what we mentioned just now, with that the cost of the plant or cost of the equipment will be increases, so that the plant layout will be go for in a poor manner. So let us consider it is a poor layout. So with that we have completed the plant location, the unit 3. Thank you.